Yeah. Do you guys have any sort of minimum amount of ounces in the ground that you want to see for an exploration project? I know that for myself, and this is not to say this is wrong or right, but I'm looking for million plus deposits. I mean, obviously it depends on grade and where it is and how easy it can be extracted. But when I see anything that's below 1 million ounces in the ground, it just doesn't really pique my interest. You guys have sort of an arbitrary number like that?
That's an interesting point to bring up. Like that's I so quick answer. I do not have an arbitrary number, but of course, like many people, I love to see ounces in the ground, especially if the valuation is so low that you're kind of getting those ounces for free, or you can justify that. But I am definitely okay with not seeing any ounces in the ground, especially if it's true green fields like this hasn't been drilled before. And the cool thing about exploration is and I'll bring up a specific example. We're going to go back to Guyana because Alicanto Minerals, like this one, I would say is especially relevant to the like they don't really well, they have a little they've got a couple projects where there might be some ounces, but this is not a play where you're buying it because they already have something. You would be interested because Barrick is the JV partner, and they're the ones earning in. And so as a side note, I still find it amazing. I tell you, I like this is 100% true. This thing would be worth more or would get more attention if it was TSXV listed instead of ASX listed. I can't believe people don't pay more attention to a company like Alicanto because like Barrick is the biggest company, like to do this type of JV or do this type of earn-in. And I think it all comes down to the ASX listing instead of the TSXV listing, and it's in it's in Guyana, which is closer to North America than Australia. So that's just a side note that there are these huge gaps simply because the company is listed on one exchange, but it's in a different part of the world. Like people won't pay attention. But the key thing here is Barrick would only do this earn-in if they were looking for 10 million plus ounce deposits. And so what's exciting about exploration is that like it's definitely okay to not have anything in the ground. I mean, I am very wary of anything that's approaching 100 million market cap like these days, and they
Yeah.
don't have anything yet. But if we're looking at a 10 million or 20 million market cap, I'm perfectly fine with nothing in the ground. It's always better to have something. But because like with this specific example, Barrick is only in this because they're looking for minimum 5 million and probably 10 million ounces. I do think that you could have a situation where there's with just a couple drill holes, people would pick up enough to know, okay, there's actually going to be 5 million plus ounces. And I haven't experienced that yet, but like this goes back to, the early 80s. No one knew anything about Hemlo at the time when Murray Pezim, ran this little junior and ran it. I mean, it didn't take very long for them to figure out there was 10 million, 20 million. I don't know how many ounces. And so that thing I think went up like 50 times in a month or two. And it probably wasn't that expensive. I don't remember that, but that's the excitement we're looking for. And when you have signals like a big partner looking for big deposits, or it's a new area and they could find a big system, I think it's perfectly fine to not have any ounces in the ground. So there you go.
What about when the results come out, though? I mean, once they have a proper estimate, then are you looking at, a minimum amount of ounces in the ground, or are you just gonna play it by ear, or see what the price does to the stock?
Oh, so that could definitely be a whole discussion. I'll try to keep it a little shorter so that Jay can have some input too. I think the more further along you go, there is a positive in the sense that the ounces are more proven up. Like you're going from inferred resources to indicated, measured and indicated, and then proven and probable like reserves. And so there's more value added, but sometimes you're actually limiting the upside, or like part of it could be just that the system is played out. It's not some huge mineralized system, but also it could be that the company has decided we're going to hold off on growing that on that exploration upside potential, and we're going to move forward with the development. there's both a cost and a negative. You can go back to exploration later, but you're more capping that upside as they're moving the development forward. But sometimes they have to because the system just won't support it. My tendency is to believe that a lot of things in North America or in the more proven jurisdictions, like you should be more wary of that upside potential. So like you might have more proven ounces, but like you just generally shouldn't have that expectation of those big wins. But if you go to places like Guyana or Africa or other parts of the world, like not besides just the aspect of them being more risky and people undervaluing in that respect, I also think they inherently have more potential for that 10 million or maybe even 20 million ounce deposit. And so there's not an easy answer to this, but you're more likely to have that binary outcome. As a slight counterexample, Northern Shield up in northern Quebec, that's not gold, that's copper, nickel, PGM.
Nickel, platinum.
Yeah, like that is a rare case of a good jurisdiction. I mean, Quebec is a top jurisdiction in Canada, like where you have that binary opportunity, and it's a huge, hugely popular on co.ca. So they do exist, but that is one of the exceptions to the rule. Most of these types of opportunities you'll find somewhere else.